Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrate to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on the bell on the side. So once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one getting all the insight. Now with the excitement of the new Labour government and also the new migration quota being announced by the government of Australia, today's video we would like to update with you for 2022 and 23 partner visa now, which has been a it's a popular visa, but there's not much of the technicality with it, but we do have some updates information as some of the criteria has been adjusted a little bit. So if you consider that you wanted to sponsor your spouse to Australia to get a visa to live together, work and stay and live in Australia, now this is the video right for you. Okay, so to start with, just to clarify, now partner visa, a lot of people, they confuse with partner visa and also the partner to be with the student dependent. So for example, a primary international student apply for a student visa, and then the primary applicant will actually also get together with his or her spouse, and that's the student dependent visa, and also confused with the student guardian, and also confused with the subsequent entrant partners. So anyway, let's clear all these confusions. This video is for the sponsor who is Australian citizen or Australian permanent resident wanting to sponsor his or her spouse to become Australian permanent resident as well. Okay, so that is the key here. A lot of people just get confused here, just wanted to clear and clarify that issue there. So okay, let's jump in to the actual content and let's give you an update on the most recent partner visa. Now as you can see, what I'm looking at here is subclass 820. Now a lot of people say, oh look, I'm not gonna lodge an 820, I wanted to do a 309 for an offshore. Again, I think years ago, since the Australian government has turned immigration into a digitalized version, there's no longer any differences between 309 and 820 apart from the locality of where you at, whether you got to be onshore in Australia or offshore in Australia. Well, the preferred method is obviously for partner visa to be lodged onshore, so you get bridging visa and you can get the work right and start living with your family and your spouse together in Australia. So that's the ultimate goal. So, and there's no longer although you can read that here, there is two steps. Another step is going to 801 to become a permanent resident, but they have consolidated the temporary and the permanent application altogether, apart from reconfirming after a period of time. You basically duplicate the application again, and then you get that permanent residency again. So there's not much of differences there. So now people may ask, then why doesn't the government just throw in partner visa? Done. You know, you don't really need to worry about whether it's going to be 820 or 302 or 309, 100 or 801. Why? Well, because I think they just, you know, lousy to going through legislative process to get all these reverted, rather than just using the technology and policy to consolidate everything all together. It's a way to save some government resources in a way. But anyway, that there was a little bit of history on that one, but that's not our detail here that we're going to talk about. So currently, I think that is the processing time. Now average, I'm aiming at about 2 year, 24, 26 month. I haven't really seen anybody waited for 39 months. Now, obviously, this is due to the backlog had been caused by the former Australian government. Now, the current government is looking obviously to clear the backlog. So in the future, this will actually be I think it's gonna be fair, should I say, to have the application process about 2 years. Now, why do I say that? Because the government of Australia is also using the time waiting and processing period to testify and to test the actual relationship between the sponsor and the applicant. So, for example, they don't want an application thrown in and within 3 months they got granted. Then the relationship deteriorated, and it will cost another government procedures, wasting of resources to revert the application or visa. So I think the 2 year wait time is also a good period for a test of relationship. So anyway, let's jump back there. Now I'm gonna go through to the eligibility. Now whether or not you can actually meet these requirements. The most important thing is, look, let's read through this. This is a new stuff. It wasn't in my previous video, so I wanted to get some update. To be eligible visa, you must have your visa cancelled or refused before. Now, obviously, there are some grounds. For example, if there has been an offense regarding, sexual offense or some critical criminal conducts, obviously that will meet the requirement. But if it's just slightly getting visa refused due to, reasons not related to this criminal offense, you should be fine. Okay. Not hold certain regional visa. Now, what are those ones? 494 and 491. Because you remember 494 and 491 has the law and policy written that within 3 years after the grant of visa, you cannot change to any other visa. That's the visa condition there, because they want you to actually be in regional and help the economy over there. Okay. Obviously 820 is onshore, so you gotta be in Australia. So if we looking into subclass 309, it will say you gotta be outside of Australia. But look, this is quite of redundant. That basically means whether or not you're gonna be onshore or offshore, you're fine. You'll be eligible to actually lodge partner visa. So have a sponsor. Sponsor will be your loved one, okay, and be the right age. Interesting, they throw that in. Now, why? Well, they will test you if the sponsor, for example, is at the age of 80 and trying to marry somebody who is 20. There was a previous case, similar to this. So the key here is to test the genuine relationship. Whether or not that's genuine or that's basically just helping somebody to just get the visa. So you got to be at the right age, okay? So if the sponsor is 50 and the applicant is 30 something, that's fine. But if somewhere that extreme, as I previously mentioned, obviously that will be cautious by the government, and they will throw you a lot of tests to prove the genuine of relationship. Okay, so talking about relationship, you need to meet relationship requirement. We gotta have a look at that one there, and also we're gonna take you to check out the new criteria to be a sponsor as well. So you gotta meet the health, character, that's the general stuff. No debt to Australian government. Be interest of the child. So best interest of the child. That means if you have a child who is Australian citizens, obviously that's the best interest for the child as well. Okay, now jumping into the main nitty gritty. We're going to sponsor later, so be at the right age. Look at it. Try what they're trying to say. Married applicant must usually be 18. So yes, there's some countries around the world that you can actually get married under 18, which is not allowed by the Australian law. But anyway, that's another case there. Well, that's pretty extreme as well. But anyway, the other case is what I just mentioned about. So the meat here, the most content required is the meeting the relationship requirements. So pretty obvious. You're lodging a partner visa, you gotta have a relationship. If you don't have any relationship, why would you lodge a partner visa? But there is a test in actually to prove the relationship that you actually have. So now The relationship can be someone of the same or different sex, so it's quite open now. And obviously they are promoting a protection against domestic violence. Now domestic violence can be a violence against a male or female, so there's a lot of situation. I've actually done a specific video on that one, so if you wanted to know more about that, you may want to do a search on my channel and search for domestic violence. Okay, now if it's gonna be a married couple, that's pretty easy. But the question is here, if you just married yesterday, can you lodge a partner visa? Yes, of course you can, but obviously a doubt, a question was thrown in by the government. You need to prove evidence of relationship right, years and months before the marriage. If there was no relationship evidence, the day before, and then you just got married yesterday, would that pass the requirement? No. Okay, so you need to show there's a mutual commitment. How do you show that? There's a financial commitment, so diamond rings, joint name bank account, joint name real estate purchase, joint name vehicle purchases, and things like that. Photographs of the ears, communication can be in letter or can be through any of the mobile apps. Facebook can be one of the evidence of, screenshot those things to show your relationship is genuine, continuing, and either live together or do not live permanently apart. Now, there are people who are corporate expats. They're required to go, long distance. So then that you need to prove that. Whether the relationship is still genuine. You're not related by family, so you can't do that. Okay, to find out the marriage when under Australian law, there's consult with another solicitor or lawyer. Now, de facto partner is also acceptable. You do not require to be married in a marriage status. So a de facto, you're not married to each other. There's a mutual commitment again. So it's a similar stuff that you actually see up there to show that there's a genuine and a jointly mutual commitment, financially, socially, family, business, perhaps. If you run family business together, so that's all the documentation that it can show that the two are living together permanently, not apart. Okay. Usually you must be in de facto relationship for at least 12 months immediately. I always follow that rule. Even if it's a married couple, I always ask for at least 12 months of evidence of support of the relationship, because again, if you only just married yesterday and you cannot prove more than 3 months of a relationship have been going on, still your visa will be refused. So I always keep that rule, get evidence of support on the relationship for at least 12 months before the date of application. So 12-month requirement will not apply if you show compelling compassionate circumstances exceeding the grant of subclass 820. So what are those compelling compassionate circumstances? For example, there's expecting Australian child. Yes, there can be other things as well, but it does, case by case circumstances. The 12-month requirement will not apply if your partner hold a permanent humanitarian visa. Now, why is that? Because if they're refugees, they probably lost all those documents. There's very minimal evidence that they can actually prove their relationships. Or perhaps they're in a political upheaval situation. To provide evidence or prove the relationship will actually cause the other partner, to be jailed by not the government. Don't know. There's some circumstances there. Your de facto partner existed before you grant of the visa. The de facto partner told us that the relation before the grant of their visa. So, well, if you already got the visa, why proof? Anyway, okay, it's also not applied if your de facto relationship with a partner who is applicant of a permanent humanitarian visa. Well, isn't that the same here? Anyway, you have registered relationship with the Australian authorities, such as registrar of birth, death, and marriages. Oh, okay. Anyway, so again, I don't rely too much on those one. Again, my intention and my usual practice, I'll still get people to prove 12-month relation, even if they are a married couple. Okay, now let's jump to the sponsor part. So, how do you be eligible sponsor for partner visa? You have to be a Australian citizen, permanent resident, or an eligible New Zealand citizen. Now, I haven't seen any eligible New Zealand citizen for the past 10 years, although there are still people exist. So that's for Kiwis who arrive and live permanently in Australia, I think before 2002. Okay, so, and that's 20 years ago. Anyway, be at the right age is the same thing. Do not have a sponsor limitation. Now, what we've got to check out what that is, the limitation on the sponsor. Okay, be a suitable. So you need to have that the status of Australian citizen or permanent resident. Be at the right age. Again, they're talking about you got to be above 18 years old. Again, and also on the extreme circumstances, the age gap between the sponsor and applicant cannot be so wide and makes it really unreasonable. You see what I mean? Okay. Meet the character, that's a new one. Now, obviously, they wanted to protect domestic violence, as we had saw before. So, if there has been any substantial criminal records, obviously, that probably will get you ineligible to actually sponsor your spouse. We will not refuse a visa application if you have a conviction on relevant offense but no substantial criminal record. So what does the definition of substantial criminal record? Basically, it's related to sexual offense, also a offense that has been resulted with more than 12 months or above prison or jail time, then that will be substantial. Okay, measure of protection of children. Again, that's all of that. It will actually prove a protection to a potential Australian child. Now, limitation of sponsorship. That means, just to restrict anyone who want to utilize partner visa scheme to actually sell the visa. So, sponsor can only sponsor a partner if they were previously sponsored someone else and lodge a partner visa 5 years apart. Now, that's just giving the right back to the sponsor. If the marriage or relationship didn't go well, okay, and you divorce or separated, then 5 years after that, you can sponsor someone else. They don't want people to get married and the applicant get a permanent resident and divorce and get into another marriage, sponsored again, and continue rolling things like this. That is not acceptable by the government of Australia. And again, the contributory parent visa holder, what is that? That is, if you want to sponsor your parents, the government will actually support you to do that if you sponsor both together. But the government do not want the applicant to actually being sponsored as a parent for only one single parent, and after they get a permanent resident, then they utilize partner visa to actually sponsor their spouse. They do not want to do that, do not want people to do that. And also, if you want to do that, that will be another 5 years apart since the grant of your visa. So it's the same thing. Same thing, that a way to actually prevent some of the, should I say, fraud, or, it's just not the right conduct. And it's not how a relationship should actually be formed, genuinely. Anyway, that's for the video today in regards to the partner visa application. Should you have more question, query, more than welcome to leave comment right down below, and I'll see you next video. Goodbye.